Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about routing and scheduling, and to get to that, you go to Route and Schedule from the main menu, and then you're going to pick the day that you wish to schedule for. So we are currently looking at June 11th, so let's click on that. And for those of you who are very astute, I actually switched the date on you. The date that I was about to demonstrate with had already been assigned. So when you first come into the routing section, you'll notice a couple key areas. This is the date section. Each one of these numbers, these little boxes up here, represents a truck. So our system is set up to handle up to 40 trucks on a single day. By default, your routing is using the Yahoo database. And if you ever want to hear the long story behind it, give me a call. Otherwise, trust me, even though Google is supported, let Google do the mapping visually, but let Yahoo do the database part. Down here are all your events for that day, and if you want to find one on a map, you just click on it and it'll highlight it for you. And also, if you are working in a large geographic area, you can always zoom out to see what's going on around your area. You can also drag as needed. I tend to recommend, once you know your furthest boundaries, working a little bit more zoomed in, because some of these might look like they're one job if they're too close to each other. So now that you understand the basic layout, let's go in and start assigning these to the trucks. Now the little home base here is your warehouse location, and one thing to check for if you're not seeing the correct map or you're having troubles getting it to display correctly, make sure that if you have a suite number in your warehouse address, that you take that out, let it be a little more generic, and then it will find it on the map and display it. So here's our starting point, and I'm going to take these 5 events that are up north and put them all onto truck 1 and see how that goes. So we're going to start by selecting truck 1, then we're going to click on the first job, and we have a Jurassic jump, and it tells you some information about that party. It's 3:30 to 7:30 and whatnot, but here are the important things to matter. The Jurassic jump, for us, we give our guys 30 minutes to set up. That gives them a little extra time if they run into mechanical issues or whatever. And then a delivery window. This is rather important to understand this concept. The delivery window is the amount of time in advance of an event that the scheduler could schedule an arrival to set up. So what we're saying is, if this is the only job going out for the day, the system will have you show up at 3 o'clock for a 30-minute setup, so you're done by 3:30. So it pushes everything as late as possible, so you're not showing up at 5 in the morning to people's houses if you don't have to. And then, if, however, there's a whole bunch of jobs starting at around that same time, it can arrive up to 4 hours in advance. So we could be getting there as early as 11:30 a.m. to get this set up. And we have found that 4 hours is the ultimate inefficiency. It makes the most efficient routes. It may have you deliver an 11 o'clock party before a 10 a.m. party just to make the route more efficient. In those situations where you can't get there that early, either because it's an early morning setup or because it's at a park or maybe there's a baptism or who knows, you can manually go in here and say, okay, you can't get there any earlier than an hour before the event. So if I do this setting right here, the earliest that it would get to this location is at 2:30. Now that's more convenient for the customers, but makes for a much less efficient route. So I'm going to leave everything at 4 o'clock unless I see a reason not to. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add to Truck. And then we're going to do that on the next one. This gets faster, so wavy water slide looks good. Add to truck. Same here. This is a bounce house with a banner. Now the customer in the packages saw Disney Princess jump our system here is breaking it out into the individual package parts. So now your driver, and you see that it's a bounce house with an art panel. Okay, so we're going to put that in. It is not at a park, so we're going to go ahead and add the truck with a 4-hour window. Wild Rapids, and they're adding a padding thing, so I'm going to give them 45 minutes to set up that. It's a larger water slide. And say add to truck, and monster truck, add to truck, and I would probably start with that. Now in the drivers section and in off the main menu, we've already entered in all of our drivers. By the way, a lot of people say, yeah, but we deliver early. Well, if we wanted to get these 3 out the day before, I would assign these to maybe truck 40, and then we made up a driver name called 1 day early for scheduling purposes. So that's the driver's name in that particular scenario. But right now, let's go ahead and assign it to Mike here. And now I'm going to click Find Route. Now, as long as I've set it to Yahoo, and I have my pop-up blockers turned off for this site, which you should do, then I should see 2 windows are going to pop up. One a map, and one the driving directions. So let's go ahead and click on that, let it calculate, and so the map is coming up underneath, and here is our scheduling. So what that does is it says, Mike, you need to leave the warehouse at 8:55, drive 24 minutes, arrive at 9:19, and you get 30 minutes to set up one bounce house with a banner, and that's their checklist. This gives them a load sheet. So we tend to refer to this sheet as the master sheet, because this is what the driver is going to use all day long to control their time and to see what they're supposed to be loading into the truck and in what order. So they just start at the bottom of the sheet and work their way up to the top, and then they're all loaded in the correct order for getting them out. And so it gives them minute by minute directions for the whole day. Once you've used this for a couple weekends, we consistently hear drivers showing up almost to the minute with what we've done. So what we tell our customers, if I see a 9:19, we'll call our customer the day before and say we'll be there between 9 and 9:30. We give them about a 30-minute window. That way they're not stuck around waiting all morning wondering when they can go out and get a birthday cake if they have to pick something up like that. So that's the master sheet, and then underneath it, now I understand that a lot of people are using GPSs nowadays. Let's see, this one says, well, we found this one nearby. Okay, so we didn't have the northeast in the address, so it's coming up with, we're not sure that this is the exact thing, but when I look at it, I know it is, so I just say okay. And now when I look at the map here, if I want, I can go to print, and it will now print turn-by-turn directions for the entire day, along with a master map for the driver. I don't tend to print these anymore because they all have GPSs or phones with GPSs, but if it's a new driver or somebody who has troubles with the GPS or they don't have one, then this is certainly a good way to go. It'll get them there, and gives them turn-by-turn directions for the entire day. So you can see that it's trying to make a loop out of that route. That's the most efficient path. And so now we could either try to squeeze more on or go to another truck. So for demo purposes, I'm going to go to another truck. And if you can't squeeze more onto the truck, it'll tell you when you are out of time to get them all out. So it'll say, hey, you can't make it there that fast, so stop that. And it'll say route not found. So then you have to start either saying, okay, well, we can deliver some earlier, we can make the delivery window bigger, we can say the setup time will happen in 15 minutes instead of 30, and the guys will have to run. So but if it's coming up with a route not found, it means that given the setup that you're telling it, it's got, it's not physically possible to get them all out that fast. So I'm giving him an hour on this one. It's big brothers, big sisters, 2 larger units. That might be overkill, but better safe than sorry. And let's try to do this last one here. 30 minutes looks good. And let's do find route on that one, and we can assign it to driver as well. Let's put it on Kelly here, and it indeed found a route. So the things to watch out for are parks and or any other event that needs for you to and here's a park right here. So let's see, this is a 10 a.m. park there. While I was talking, I found an error. So let's go ahead and find that one. That was the Disney Castle. So I'm going to come over here, and all these windows are resizable. Map as well, so if you need a little more room to see everything, you can do that. So let me go. Alright, so we found the error where there's a park. So let's find that unit. That's this Disney Castle right here with a generator, and up here, I didn't catch that it was a park. So let's change that delivery window to 1 hour. Add it to the truck again and see if we can still find a route. And it did. So we're good. So now we have a route all set up for the second truck, and now if we go and find that one that was in the park, here it is. So it moved it back, so now it's saying arrive at 9:30 a.m. for a 10 a.m. party, and we're giving them 30 minutes for the setup right up here. So that'll have them finishing right in time for the party. So that fixed that park issue just by changing that time slot to 1 hour. And now the last thing to cover real quick is if we want, we can print contracts by truck. So since I have truck 2 still selected, if I click on print contracts, it will bring up all my contracts for the day. If you have a ton of locations that you're going to, this can take a little while to generate, so let it go all the way up to the top. Finish doing it. By default, all of our contracts print in duplicate unless you change that in advanced options, other settings, and make it to singles. So the idea is that you sign one copy and hand it to the customer, and they sign the other copy and hand it to you along with any payment that may need to be collected. And as you'll see, we're using the default 2-page contract, and then what I did is we added our safety rules that we had an artist draw graphically, and they initial on each one of these. So I just added a page to page 2 of your contracts. So there's an idea for you within the system. And that way your contracts will print out by truck. The only other safety check to make, and I'm going to flip back here, is you do want to go into assign drivers and just make sure that on that date, we're looking at the 18th here, that each event has a driver assigned to it. So it looks like at some point I missed one in there. It looks like a big one that's probably being delivered the day before. So I'll look at that later. Anyway, that's a little red light there. Make sure that you get all of those drivers assigned. Otherwise, you might have missed one of the events on the map. And that's it. Hope that helps.